Hello Masterminds, it's time for me to react to some more funny videos.
Mr. Blair, it's been almost 3 years since we've heard from you. It's as if you've left Britain behind almost. Why the long silence?
You know, I think thought I was basically, you know, I mean, I was in love. What?
Let's go back to the beginning of the relationship with Gordon Brown. I mean, you described it was like lovers, you said. It was as intense and close as that.
Well, look, it was it's a global phenomenon.
Well, we've got an awful lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to be discussing all the controversial stuff. But we're just going to start with a man you may be familiar with. And you recount an extraordinary moment, I think, in Paris, where the two of you had done it. Everyone has described this as endless, nude, jumping up and down sleaze.
It's the way it is, so there's no point in complaining about it. And I remember just waking up that morning with a sort of strange man.
You kick the door down, and you would come in so hard. So an odd thing, when you were personally squatting on Gordon Brown, what did you feel?
Occasionally it was stretched pretty far. Yeah, I know that sounds
really?
odd. But, yeah. No, but look, people never believe me when I say that. Maybe in the sense Gordon didn't believe me when I said that. But Gordon is enormous, and it's not unnatural to get on the bandwagon. But there are certain bandwagons it's best to say no to. The answer is that in the end, he didn't stop it.
Because he was a bad man.
Yes. Yes, I was very, very, very hard, and I was very happy. But I had a huge stimulus package, and we did it.
And you came within 45 minutes. You were jumping up and down, ramming through.
Well, I was hardly ramming it through, but no, I definitely came.
Was it explicit?
It was explicit in the sense that I could reach parts of Gordon that possibly Gordon couldn't. Yes, it was just one of these strange things.
I quake at the imbecility of it.
Well, pretty much.
Tony Blair, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before you go to work, you have to do a few things. One, make sure it's bone on. If it's too raw, it'll just collapse. And so while that's doing what it's doing, two, you've got to take into consideration the size of those pieces of meat. Normally we would use a meat bat, but most people at home don't have a thick base 10-inch meat bat. So your steak, your chop, your lamb cutlet of this size, which is a good inch. They're almost like little mushroom steaks. They have little small cuts of meat. Very hard to penetrate into the middle of that pink flesh inside. It's never enough. That's why you need a big sausage. Why? Because they're big, they're fat, and they're chunky, and they're juicy. I reckon I'll make about 2 portions of what I've got. We're talking about dinner for 2/3. Great on Valentine's. And we all know how I like to do 2 jobs at once. Multitask. 3, you've got to know the meat you're working with without feeling it, without touching it. It just scents the meat. And it smells, must be perfectly fresh, not a fish. And if it doesn't, then walk away from it. And then, if there's no fat coating, you might as well eat cardboard. You want to taste the bird. I personally go for the mature cheddar. I like that punch. Start to finish, it's 6 minutes, maybe 5, depending on the thickness of your salmon, top and bottom. Now, to begin with, we just open up the breast, open that breast up. Just massage a little bit of oil into the breast and just play. And don't be scared to juggle things round. I never, ever skim it at the start. Some people like to stuff a bird. I just had a quick peep. It looks delicious. Not too dry, very moist. So now we go with the hands. I reckon we want to use 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers, submerge them in, and toss. Tombe. I always tend to do more than I need. May seem like a lot, but trust me, it can take it. Just massage it into the bird, inside and outside of the cavity. As you can see, it's quite velvety at this moment in time, so we can play it like a piano. Oh. I'm showing this a lot of love, trust me. I was going to keep half the fingers back, purely for presentation, but I've decided not to. Just let's put them all in. The more you put in, the more you get out. You just scrape out that goodness. It's quite a long and slow process, but if you've got the time and you don't mind your fingers going purple, the results pay off at the end. Delicious. If you wanted to go that extra mile, pound it with your knuckles, it's not necessary. But if you want to go that little bit further, it's your choice. The prize bit for many people is the rump. We like to see them large. Does it make a massive difference? No. But if it wasn't there, you'd miss it. It's very tender, as you can imagine. Don't chop them up just for the sake of chopping them up, because if you don't do this properly, it'll burst. So what we've got to do is break it in with your finger, start to puff up a little bit, little opening, and slide in my meat probe. I put about a quarter of a tube. I might as well put it all in there. So what I want to do is I want to take it as far as possible. As always, push it down the sides. Shake that in. You know, I really took it from the bottom end. When the blood starts to pierce the surface, how do you overcome it? I'm the last person to ask. You should just pray. I was brought up by my mother to eat bottom, but, you know, Mum was Italian. The Italians are very different. I like it rustic. I like it when the juices in your mouth start to run. It's a nice vegetarian dish, but I don't eat them every day of the week. It's almost peasant style in a strange sort of way. The best one I ever ate was in Vigo in northern Spain. So a little trick of the trade. Blitz it, it's chemistry. But having said that, I did have an Italian mother. My mother used to mince her mince herself. No doubt she was in a rush. If I'm honest, if I was at home, I would mince it through. Let's see. It's ready now to liquidize. To finish them, what I do is I take the legs, split them down the middle with my tremendous amount of stiff sausage meat. I prefer to take it raw, gives it that nice porkiness. I'm allowing the pin to do the work. And to finish, at that last stage, really watch over it. Be careful not to break the seal, because what you've got to do is you've got to get that timing right. And at the end, just whip it out. God be with me. There we are. So I've got to work it. It's curdled. I've left it a little bit too long. So you've got to really think about what you're doing. My wife used to always complain about the mess I made. You know, you can't just dump it and walk away from it. What you will see, it has a translucent quality to it, with that little white bead in the middle. You can see the richness within it. It's almost like a pot of Dulux paint. The darker the cream, the stronger it is. Natural flavour. And the beauty of this sauce is you can make a fair bit of it. Even as a young boy, I was excessive. I might as well. The nice thing about it is I've watched it live its life. I always use a cloth for the simple reason is if you use a paper towel or a kitchen towel, the paper can stick to the lasagna. As I've always said, perfection is lots of little things done well. You know, just have a go. It's not difficult. And voila. There we are.
Hi guys, welcome to the Ministry of Food. I've got a bit of a boner, but it's not hard. It's just over 1 centimetre thick, so it's not wobbling. Lovely. And you're going to rub it backwards and forwards again and again and again. And, you know, not that there's a rush, but, you know, you need a sense of urgency. You can't just sit there sort of poking it around, OK? So keep it moving. We don't want it to be wobbly, so just keep tossing it off. There's no point in getting scared now. Rub it all over. Be careful, don't slap it all over the place. You're going to get in trouble. Now, the question is, how do you like your balls? Personally, I quite enjoy little balls. I've got a little knob that all my mates absolutely love. But what I want to show you is these balls here, and there's nothing wrong with them, but they're not quite as attractive. So it's always worth having a little nibble. OK, now, second important bit. I'm going to get my cucumber here. I'm going to put it full whack into your burger. Again and again and again. And then we can have a little look inside it. And then I'm going to put it in your mouth. Some people love it, some people hate it. Give it a try. Don't turn your nose up at it. If you don't like it, you can take it out, which I think is nice and reasonable. But, I mean, you know, let's not be precious. Because it doesn't really matter what it looks like. What does matter is that when you go and eat it, you don't get a massive chunk of cheese. Some people don't like it, some people love it because they're used to it. There's no point in worrying about it. Just stick it in there and do the best job possible until it's bone dry. It all goes down the same hole. All right, I'm going to go straight in. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to literally go straight in again and again and again, just to give it that creaminess. That little sticky, shiny sauce is obviously an acquired taste. I love it. But in the past, people have said, oh, it's sort of sticky and gluey. It will not be in 2 minutes when you're eating it. So what you've got to do is duck and dive, get a big mouthful of cream, and that's going to be delicious. Because it just tastes and smells completely different than anything you've had before, right? And there's no point in wasting it. I'm really happy with this. It's dead cool, dead exciting. I love it. It's brilliant. It's really, really nice. It's a winner. Quick, quick, quick. I'm literally going to cream. Absolutely, you want to be tasting it. And then all I've literally got to do is jiggle it about. Right at the end. You're knackered. Nothing wrong with that at all. Well chuffed. Brilliant. Bob's your uncle. Job done. Nice one.
Welcome to part 2 of the cookery course. But before we start part 2, I hope we're all going to get moist and sticky, because today's programme is all about my flange. Well, a lot of people are always asking me, what do you give people when they come to supper with you? And those of you who know me by now will know that I think you deserve a delicious drizzle of prick batter. And it's really rather nasty, but it's got a very good flavour. I happen to enjoy eating it myself because it's such a winner, it's so delicious, and no one can ever believe that something so good could be sticky and chewy. And it is nice now and again to get back to a good old-fashioned pricking in the hole. And if you're like me, you'll want a good, well-greased 12-inch prick, and that's all it takes. But I warn you, that is quite hard to get hold of. But if you haven't got one, you can do it with a wooden spoon. It's going to smell of France when that goes in. So what you first of all do is you want to get as moist as possible. Presumably that's why you ask them round. You pour, and the thing to do is ease it in deep, getting up well into the corners, because you want all the air out. And then just make sure you haven't got any air trapped, or if you have, to let it out. Sometimes that's confusing for beginners, because when I first started I got in a muddle, so I give you permission. So what's the best thing to do is to take the prick to the base all in one. And don't worry, because a lot of people seem to be afraid of it, and of course they get into a frightful old muddle. A lot of people are always asking me, how can I get nice solid prick? And the thing to do is to put a few flecks of butter on, and then the next thing you do is just penetrate again and again and again, so that you can get power and you don't have any problems when you're pricking it for about 25 minutes. And when you've got them up to that stage, take it out if you can bear to, and then when it comes out, hey presto, you've got a nice plonk hole full of the most marvellous sticky cream batter. And I often just leave a couple of little strands like that hanging down. You can do all these little tricks, it doesn't really matter, nobody's going to know.
My atavistic refugee mentality means that I always feel at my most secure when I'm rolling up a joint, and then any minute now and the joint will be jumping, but I'm feeling calm and I'm feeling confident, and here's why. I'm going to cream, and I have to say now, I feel I'm primed, I'm poised, I am ready for Italian sausage meat. Right, it's turkey time, but not quite as we know it. I do know that this is supposed to be the season of peace and goodwill, but I've always got time for a little bit of kitchen violence. It's not too hard. Wow. Double cream. And I'm happy. All I need to do before people arrive is upend the salami, and then the magic happens. This is some of my special cream. Wow, there are a lot of people coming to the party. It's very odd. Do not panic. The wetter the big bird is, the squidgier the stuffings will be when we bone them.
Alright, masterminds, that's enough funny videos for now. I'll see you in 2 days. Thank you for watching. Remember, be smart for your heart. Good night.